What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Revolution. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about healthcare and AI. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm Drew, and this is Humanity First, your AI podcast.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Anything you celebrate, welcome to tuning in to another episode of our podcast.
Absolutely.
We are happy you are here. We're actually going to start each episode a little different. Something we thought about, something we've been brainstorming is we want to make sure that we are sharing the latest AI news with you as a listener. So we're going to start every episode with a little news update.
Yep.
So even though today's episode is about healthcare and AI, at the start of every episode, we're going to talk about anything new and big that's happening in the AI industry, tech field. So to begin, YouTube has introduced AI training. This is turned off by default in your settings. If you go in, you can turn it on. And my favorite part about this YouTube AI training is that you can not only turn it on, but you can select what companies get access to your information.
Love that.
I think it's awesome. So if you go through, you can select like a couple like Amazon, Android, Apple, Meta. If you don't want some of those companies getting your information or data, that's great. But regardless, it's turned off by default. You have to go in your settings to turn it on. ChatGPT has expanded free-to-use features. Let's go.
Love that.
You can now upload photos in a free plan. You can also use ChatGPT search, which is cool. Display details with results such as ratings, hours, maps, any other type of business or personal location info. I think that's a really cool feature to add.
Yeah.
And it'll now provide links to websites information was gathered from.
Hell
this
yeah.
is huge.
Huge.
I
And
mean,
it should be free.
And again, these features are not new. If you had the paid plan, you already had access to all this.
Yep.
But I think fact checking and access to where the information came from, where the it's being taught from, to
Right.
find this information.
Yep.
I think it's really important to have access to.
Oh, it's critical.
It's so the big
We're-
applaud
yeah.
to OpenAI.
We're in a day and age where we have a lot of misinformation. So for OpenAI, ChatGPT to give you a source and fact check it, way to go.
Yeah.
Like, bravo.
I'm so happy, and that's free to use again.
And that's setting the tone for what we can expect with a lot of AI
Yes.
models and companies going forward.
Up next in news for the week, Ray-Ban smart glasses. US and Canada get early access features, including live translations, Shazam integration, and the introduction to live AI, which allows users to have two-way conversations with Meta's AI assistant. If you're interested in learning more about that, please do your own research, look it up. That's not what we're talking about today's episode,
Yep.
but I want to make sure that you guys have the new news. Also, last but not least, Google has updated its AI usage policy to allow customers to use its AI in high-stakes environments, such as healthcare, as long as and if and only if there is human supervision.
Let's talk about that.
What a great transition. We're going to jump right into it.
Yeah.
But first, we're going to start the episode with some gratitudes.
Absolutely. It's the holidays. We've had Thanksgiving, we've had Christmas. Now we're coming up to New Year, and I am just very grateful for this year. It has been a learning year for me. It has been,
fast.
It has been fast,
And you've
My
been
God.
busy. You've been very busy this year.
I've been very busy, and I am very grateful for the quality time that I've been able to spend with the people I care about, my family, friends, and so it's just been a really good closure to a very hectic and busy, exciting year.
Absolutely.
And so I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. You've pretty much almost officially ended one of your businesses.
I did.
You're now working full-time for a new company.
Yeah.
So
I am retired as of December 31st.
Yeah. One, proud of you for taking that step.
Thank
and
you.
even though it's a scary step, but I think you see the future and what's happening, and you
I
made
do.
a business decision kind of. And not just business, but an educational decision too.
I appreciate that.
What's happening in the future. I'm grateful for a lot of the same things. I'm grateful to spend time with family at the end of the year. This year was fast. Like I can't believe it's about to be 2025.
What? I know.
And I'm grateful for the process and everything that 2024 has brought me. I mean, this was a big year of change for me in terms of work, relationships, sports, health. I'm just grateful for the journey of 2024 and meeting new people.
Hell yeah.
Grateful for everything.
Yeah.
But you've already started us off. Today's episode, as we said,
Yep.
one, thank you for tuning in again. We are talking about healthcare and AI.
And before we move forward, I do want to challenge any of our viewers. Put in the comments what you're grateful for. I think it's so important that we express gratitude on a regular basis. I mean, I think this is something we do on our daily lives. And I encourage you to incorporate gratitude into your daily, whether it's a drive to work or just in your morning reflections, but be grateful, show some gratitude. It's cool. It changes a lot.
And it's hard.
It is.
In the time we're in right now and how divided it feels like a lot of things are. But I think that's another thing that we talked about in a lot of our episodes is with the integration of AI and release of AI, now is the time to find community.
Yes. And that is one of the biggest things that I think for you and I, that we wanted to create this we created this series as a way to bring people together, to build community, to express gratitude. And you said the word divide. We've been divided for too long. Our goal and our mission here is to unite and bring people together. And so another gratitude, I guess. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for the opportunity because I know and I believe that this Humanity First, our podcast, our series is going to do exactly that. It is going to unite people and bring people together to get rid of this divide. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of things to be grateful for, AI and healthcare.
AI and healthcare.
I know you have a couple articles. I've done some research as well, but we have a lot to talk about in today's episode. You, I think, found some product, Vivu.
Oh, yeah. I got a cool.
I'm gonna let you talk about it. That's why I'm like hands off. You start us off over here.
Okay. So before I do that, I do want to talk about something that I was reading from the World Economic Forum the other day, and it says, with 4.5 billion people lacking access to essential healthcare services, AI could help bridge that gap if used with responsible guardrails.
Okay.
Responsible guardrails being the key word. And I quote Stella, and I am not going to, I do not want to be disrespectful for her last name, but she's from the European Union Commissioners for Health. And she says, I believe that we can have all the potential that AI offers us and have the guardrails in place. And we're going to link this article, but as AI is integrated into the healthcare system, it is crucial that we have guardrails and stuff in place to protect humans.
Anything with humans. Yes. I mean, anything with living beings. I'm not just going to exclude that to humans.
Absolutely.
There absolutely should be guardrails with stuff like this. It is a model being trained off of available information, and available information does not include new information. I mean, there's a lot of new information being uploaded quickly, but it's just every human is different. Every living being is different. And it's impossible for like an algorithm or anything like that to really predict a human emotion and behavior.
Well, and I think these guardrails, it goes to biases, it goes to prejudice, it goes to things that are built in and that we've got to change and adjust. And we will. I'm optimistic that we are, because AI is for everyone. It's not just for some people. And part of my mission and what I'm advocating for is that everyone benefits from AI. And as we're talking about healthcare, we deserve that. We deserve equal access to healthcare. It's a right.
You heard a large sigh, but there's a lot to be discussed with healthcare right now, just in general, where it is like AI excluded. There's a lot to discuss about healthcare. But I think there's a lot of cool things to discuss too with what's is happening with AI already.
Well, and that's another, point to this, after we get through the guardrails, make sure there's sustainability and there's a lack of biases and all of that to protect everyone. I think we could live to 100 years old with AI in healthcare. Like, legitimately, I believe that our generation, and definitely the generation that is being born now, will live to 100 on average, minimum.
That would be awesome.
I mean, right?
That would be,
and so I think to go to some of these advancements, and talking about humanity, it says AI can spot more bone fractures than humans can. Okay, cool. I love that title, because it's, it just shows what AI can do. However, if you read a little further, it says, surprisingly, urgent care doctors miss broken bones in up to 10% of cases. Well, if a human is getting it right 90% of the time, I like those odds, which means that if they're working with AI, they're going to get it right 100% of the time, which means the importance of human oversight is even it's just even more justified.
I have a lot of questions about that too. Like with the 90%, like, first of all, where's this data coming from? Like, we don't know that.
Exactly.
But more importantly is like, doctors have very weird working hours. Like, I don't want to speak from experience. If you have a nurse or a doctor friend, please ask them what their schedule looks like. But to my understanding, like, nurses, paramedics have like a weird 23-hour workday, something crazy. like if they're on their 23rd hour looking at an x-ray of my body and they miss like a fracture, like a tiny fracture, you're like, understandable. Like,
absolutely.
Realistically, understandable.
If we're saying that these professionals are missing 10% of the time, I'm good with that, because AI can pick up the slack and help these physicians, nurses,
which is exactly what I was about to talk about too. It's like if AI is just like identifying, like let's say on an x-ray, they see a little mark that, you know, maybe the human eye looks like, you know, something wrong with the camera, the x-ray kind of thing. But AI is like, hey, you should look at this. And then the doctor goes and looks at what was circled. And you're like, oh yeah, that is a bone fracture. Like just being able to do that versus a doctor having to stare and go through the entire body's image and be like, okay, here's all the things that look irregular. Let's talk about it. AI already has found all those things for you.
Yes.
The doctor is now just moving on to the next step. That, first of all, speeds up the process. It relieves the workload on doctors and nurses. It integrates a lot of different things. Like being able to speed up the process means that you can deal with more patients. You can get through a lot more things. There's so many things.
Okay. That's funny that you say that. As we are filming this, I do have a broken thumb actually right now, which, you know, it's mobile, but there's some swelling around. And I recently went to the doctor, hand specialist, and she was talking about how the use of AI in her day-to-day has literally saved her hours every week, 2 hours a day.
Absolutely.
Because instead of going home and putting in these patient notes, she's able to do it right there with live LLM models, so large language models, that is transcribing her notes and putting them into the system automatically.
It's incredible.
It is incredible. And that's saving her time.
Early stage.
And she's able to give the patients more quality time because she's not having to worry about notes.
It's awesome.
And so it just goes to show that we're going to be in a system where we're going to have better quality healthcare. Our physicians and nurses and the team that help these professionals do what they do are going to have better qualities of life.
Well, that's the goal for all AI,
Absolutely.
Not just healthcare. That is the goal, is for us to have a better quality of life.
That's what we're advocating for.
That is why the podcast is called Humanity First.
Yes.
Because we care about the human aspect, and not just the human aspect, that AI integration is happening with humans at the forefront of thought.
Period.
We're going to talk about that more. But I want to go back to your point. I think that's awesome. And what you talked about, what she was using in terms of AI models and technology, that feels like such a small scale version of what is going to happen with healthcare and AI.
Well, to that, the article continues, detecting early signs of more than 1,000 diseases.
Whoa.
And when I'm saying detect early signs, I mean years, but like years in advance. There was a scan for breast cancer that literally detected it like 5 years before it was even becoming a thing that, like, when you would go to a doctor and like, hey, there's a problem, like I felt tonight. The fact that AI is able to detect thousands of diseases, and this is like, we're at the start of AI being integrated into healthcare.
Yeah.
If we can be if we can get to the forefront of this, and one, we have all of our guardrails in place, but two, we have AI as a tool,
as an accessible
tool for practitioners to use at their disposal, we are going to have healthcare that is going to change our lives in ways that we have never imagined.
And you know what? Let's make it so that it changes everyone's lives. Let's not make it only accessible to people who can afford it.
Period.
That's a whole conversation. But we still haven't talked about the thing I started the episode with, which was, you said Vivu. You have it in your notes. I don't know what it is, and now I'm interested.
Because it's a really cool AI tool, and I just wanted a little bit of a cliffhanger. Please. So I want to give a little bit of backstory. My mom was in healthcare for over a decade. Mm-hmm. It is how she provided for our family when I was young. And I was recently introduced to Vivu from my mother. And so I brought their pack. So you can get it in a subscription base. By the way, this is not a promotion or sponsorship, like none of that. This is something that was discovered by my mom, who shared the information with me. And I am like, wow, this is incredible. So Vivu sends you a kit, and there's 4 of these packages. So if you do a subscription, you get 4 of these a month. And what they are doing is you create an account, You scan the QR code. There's a QR code right here, which, by the way, QR codes are going to be everywhere. It's going to be huge. Yeah. But in terms of healthcare as well is why I'm saying that. And so you scan that, and what happens is I'm going to open up this test strip so you can see. But if you look at it, there's another QR code. That's why I brought this up. Okay. So you can see that there's tons of different boxes with different colors in it. You scan this QR once you have your account created, and then you pee on this stick.
Oh, on the colors?
On the colors,
yep.
Okay. For a few seconds. There's instructions, and I'm not going to go over that. But what happens is then through AI, machine learning models, it analyzes your urine through the color changes. Oh. And it tells you your hydration, your magnesium, critical vitamins that are needed. And it lets you test on a regular basis. That's what incredible. Normally would cost you a lot of money and you can do like through your health insurance once every year.
Can't do at home.
Or can't do at home. Now you can use this tool.
Wow.
It's an AI tool, healthcare, to figure out, oh, hey, I'm dehydrated. This is why I feel bad. I'm missing these essential vitamins. This is why I feel bad.
That's awesome.
And on top of that, this company is developing through the same model that it is now, developing for vaginal health for women, for other vitamins and minerals that are missing. There's so much innovation that's happening with this company.
First of all, fucking awesome.
Thank you, Vivu creators. This is cool. Amazing.
And it actually, as advanced as it is, it still feels like an early stage to what we're going to see with this technology. And I don't know if Vivu was the first one to do something like this. There's actually a kitty litter that'll change color based on your cat's health.
Yes.
And I see a lot of potential for this with not just cats and kitty litter, but all animals, like not just humans,
living, breathing,
everything, to be able to track health, be able to see the advancements and how you're doing.
Yep.
But more importantly, what's going to happen in the future with something like this is it's not just going to be tracking vitamins. It's not just going to be tracking,
ding,
your water intake. You're going to be able to do like a disease test.
Yes.
Pink strip or a blood test.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done an at-home test where you literally just prick your finger, get some blood in the vial, and it's an accessible way to get a blood test, even though it's not as, it's not going to the doctor and getting a full vial. It's just something tiny. But that could be the future of disease testing.
Oh, it is the future.
In your bathroom.
The accessibility that AI is going to create for us to be able to regulate and understand our health is going to change the game for us.
I'm glad I circled back to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, like the thing is I tried it. I was in San Jose and I tried it for the first time a few weeks back. And I was like, holy crap, I feel this, like the results, I can feel it in my body. It was, to be honest, it was like hydration was perfect. Everything. I was so proud. I was so proud.
Okay.
But I took it like a week and a half later and everything was off.
Oh,
but it was
in your head.
Exactly.
You got too confident.
It was a good eye opener for me because I was able to see, wow, like my hydration, it was a 6 out of 10. I'm dehydrated. I need some fluids.
That's so cool.
It is so cool. And it's accessible and it's giving people real time without having to wait months for this or, go to your doctor. It gives you real time health statistics on yourself.
I mean, that's the value of AI integration is the speed at which things can happen. We talked about the x-rays, but realistically, if we have AI integration with x-rays and like being able to identify fractures, broken bones, the second you get an x-ray done, the image is presented on a screen. AI's already analyzed the image and found all the things that you would then spend, an ideal situation, 30 minutes going over the picture. AI's already done the brute work.
Yes.
And now you're just going over and confirming the information is correct. That is what we're talking about with AI integration in the healthcare system, speeding up quality of life.
Yes.
Being able to do your job more efficiently and faster, so you can appreciate the time outside work.
Exactly. Well, and it's also personalized treatment. Like we're going to be able to collect data, collect the statistics, and we're going to be able to give your body, because what's happening right now is, and this is no one's to blame for this, but physicians are prescribing, let's say you have a test sample of 200 people that all have the same disease. Usually there's going to be the same form of drug, maybe a different brand name, but the same generic drug, everyone's going to be prescribed. And not all of those 200 people, that's not going to work for them.
Yeah.
What we're going to see with AI in healthcare is that what drug may work for you for treatment may not work for me. And that, guess what? I don't have to take that drug. I get to take one that works for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge thing in the mental health space too. Like our brains, like we talk about bodies, brain function too.
Wow.
Every human body is different. And that's why, we talked about at the start of the episode, Google's integration in high risk environments with their AI, having human oversight be a requirement
every time.
And I think in all things that the AI is being introduced to, there needs to be human oversight.
Yeah.
But especially in the healthcare system. It is vital and important, and that should be a guardrail that's forever enforced.
It's part of why we started this series is to advocate for that and make sure that there are guardrails, there are protections, there's ethics and laws, and all of the things that we're going to dive into this upcoming year. But it is critical that humans are at the forefront, period.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We talked about a lot of the positives and a lot of the cool trends and predictions that we see happening in the healthcare industry and the AI integration. Let's talk about some of the concerns and some of the downsides to it. I love having an episode be all sunshine and rainbows, but that's not the reality.
No. And it won't be probably ever, or at least for a very long time.
Yeah. And we're happy you stuck around, 15, 20 minutes into the episode, and you got to experience a lot of the smiles and happiness. But let's talk about
real shit.
Yeah. And so here's the concern with AI integration. In my opinion, and where we're starting, is AI models are being trained off of available information, websites, books, texts. And
I love that you're going here.
How do you already know where I'm going?
I already know where you're going.
I'm just going to take a step back and use an example like the DSM-5. If you're unfamiliar with that, it is a book where you can go through, see symptoms, diagnoses, and be able to kind of infer what you need to diagnose someone with based on symptoms. That's DSM-5. And it's not just physical, it's also mental. I learned about it back in high school. I'm not educated on the book whatsoever. That being said, earlier versions of the DSM-5, they're always updating to new versions. They might be on the DSM-6. I don't know. But they're always updating it with new information. That's why they come out with new versions, all this stuff. Some of the earlier versions their accessible information is people being diagnosed, but it's not a correct sample size. It's not an accurate sample size. So as a very, very specific example, you look at the autism spectrum, being autistic, and in the DSM, and how they looked at symptoms and diagnosing that in someone. You look at the sample size, it's white men that they were using to find this information on how you diagnose other people. That has nothing to do with how autism interacts with a woman's body or a black woman's body or any skin or ethnic background. We don't have the correct sample size available. And that's what I'm concerned about this AI being trained by, is incorrect sample sizes and then misdiagnosing. You're nodding your head.
I don't know if the edit's going to show me, but I am over here yes, this is a problem.
Huge deal.
Yes.
We're talking about training AI to kind of be this sanctuary of what we're going to be doing and increasing efficiency in the healthcare system. But we need to make sure that we're treating people efficiently and effectively and correctly.
And free of biases and racism.
Yes. Yeah. So
let's give it.
What's the solution?
Well, I think that the solution is that we start these conversations now.
Yeah.
AI is learning. It's already consumed all of the internet. We are running out of information. If not, we've already run out of information to feed
I believe we have.
Yeah. So if humans, we're not capable of doing what AI is doing right now. So what we can do is we can come together and we can stand together and we can advocate for ethical integration of AI, free of biases, and make sure that it is trained on data that is relevant to everyone.
Yep.
AI should be, and I'm going to speak it, will be something that everyone benefits from. Because I can tell you right now, I am done living in a society that is divided. I am done.
We are.
I'm done with people preaching we should hate our neighbors because they're different from us. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I'm going to love people. I'm going to be kind to people. And I am going to advocate that AI is going to help everyone. And so I think it's critical that we have these conversations and start this advocacy specifically around AI being integrated into healthcare, because right now, like you said, there's biases.
Yeah. And it's, obviously the machine learning is not inherently trying to have a bias, but the way it's learning, it doesn't know that it's biased. Now, the cool thing about, the AI integration and being able to use this in a space like this is you can kind of start separating data.
Yes.
So, if you have a sample size of 2 women like diagnosed with autism and 1,000 men diagnosed with autism, if you're looking at the data of the 1,002 people total and you're like, this seems skewed in some way, and I'm trying to treat a female patient right now or a non-binary patient, you don't know. We don't.
Yeah.
That's something new to explore too in terms of biases
and
in AI technology and learning. But you can then very quickly be like, okay, well, let me just see the diagnosis and the symptoms of these 2 women and forget about the other 1,000 in the sample size.
Absolutely. And you know what? If you're watching this, I'm going to encourage you, put in the comments if you've ever experienced anything where something like what we're talking about, where you feel there was a biases in your treatment, or you didn't get the right treatment because maybe the statistics were based off of a bunch of white men.
Yeah.
Like that's not relevant. Like you can't treat some people the same. And so if you've ever experienced anything like that, just tell us your story. I would be curious to know how that has been in the real world, because I personally haven't, to my knowledge, haven't experienced that. But I think it's critical, and I keep using that word, that we start this discussion.
Yeah. Have to talk about it. Yeah. And
well, also, sorry,
go ahead.
That's the whole
point of the podcast.
Yeah, but I do want to say that I feel that with AI, there is a clear route like we can take that will eliminate a lot of this.
Yeah.
And it will make it so that everyone gets the same access, equal, equitable, fair access to healthcare, and the use of its AI tools that are already integrated in that platform.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because the next thing I was going to kind of transition us to is accessibility and availability of AI in healthcare for everyone. And it's not just AI in healthcare. I'm talking about just straight up healthcare for everyone.
Humanity first.
Yes. Hopefully we get some listeners that are not in the United States, or if you're already here,
We're going global. We're going global.
We are living in a society in the United States where healthcare is not accessible for people.
Yep.
And there's just a lot of questions of, with the integration of AI and speeding up processes, does this become a corporate greed move where we hold tight this technology based on people who can afford it? Or is it going the other way, where because we have these tools making people's jobs more efficient and faster, do we start opening up? Like, does the demand technically go down for healthcare, that it becomes more accessible for everyone?
Well, I think that that's 2-part, but the first part.
And let me clarify. My prediction is we live in a greedy economy and ecosystem in the United States.
I would say that is
mine.
That is a fact.
Which scares me.
Yeah.
With AI and it becoming a money grab.
Well, okay. So I totally agree. And I think that I can't help but get this out of my head. Divided we fall, united we stand. Yeah. If we come together as a society and demand change, we're going to get it, because there is power in numbers. And so the more people are talking about this, the more our voice will be heard.
Yeah.
And so I feel that going to, and I want to start, I do not condone murder.
Yeah.
I don't believe that is a viable option for change. It doesn't,
it shouldn't.
It shouldn't be.
We shouldn't need to get to that point of frustration and anger.
Absolutely. With recent events that have happened with the United Healthcare CEO, and for viewers who may not know this, I've been in insurance for the last 13 years of my life. I understand claims, health insurance intimately. Mm-hmm. People were woken up. Nah, that's not true. That didn't wake people up. People have been awake.
Yeah.
This started a conversation to the masses, specifically on social media, that said, people are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yep.
And our system does not work for today's humans. It does not work for today's humans. And so we have to have a conversation where we live in a society that murder created an uproar and people celebrated the murder.
Yeah.
And it's not that let me backtrack. When a death is celebrated, that tells you there's a problem.
Yeah. There is a problem.
There's a major problem.
There's a problem. And I think the number of people that are speaking up and honestly kind of unifying after this event, I mean, it's a tragic event. Like, the loss of a life is a tragic event. But the unity, that's the uproar, the anger that people are now voicing and coming together and agreeing, like, this needs to stop. Like, this needs to change. That is, it's funny that we talk about this and we're not making any speculation on LM. That's a court case that is still ongoing. There is no verdict as of when we're filming this episode, so we're not going to speculate on that. But it's funny that this comes up. We didn't plan on talking about healthcare because of the shooting. Like, we've had this episode planned for months.
We could never have predicted that this was going to happen.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny that we are pro-humanity and also pro-AI. And what caused this? AI.
Oh, and you know what? So this was to my second point about being in insurance, and that's the reason I brought this up, is that the numbers, so average claim denials are about 16% for healthcare companies. And I did not work for a healthcare company. I want to disclaim that. I worked for a very incredible company. It's been a blessing in my life. But just to clarify, but the denial rate that United Healthcare had, so before I give you the statistic, they knew that their AI algorithm, their models were wrong.
It's just
they knew it. They were aware that it was incorrect, and they still approved it, and their denial rate was 32%. So 32% of the time, people were being denied healthcare or access to treatment that could save their lives. So what people are upset about is, yes, it is tragic that that this movement was created from a death, but also there are hundreds of thousands of lives that have been taken by the health insurance company denying claims. And so if you have a AI algorithm that is faulty and you know it, that is a kind of teeters on the edge of murder.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know of another way to put it. And so my hope and my goal and my vision is that murder doesn't have to continue. We're not going to continue murder, but what we are going to do is we're going to band together. We're going to stand united, and we're going to come together and we're going to start speaking up and saying, enough is enough. I am going to advocate for the right access to healthcare that's fair, equitable, and equal for everyone.
And I think there's power in numbers because numbers have a voice.
Yes.
And voices are what need to come up right now.
Absolutely.
With AI integration, because ultimately the numbers do not have the power to make change. The people in charge have the final power to make change. But the people in power, our government, they do listen to the numbers and the voices. So that's why we are trying to spark this conversation. We're trying to spark you guys to have these conversations with your friends, your family, because this is the reality of the future. And we've had this spark now that has come from what it came from, that we need to start talking. We need to voice how we feel about things. And that is the only way that change is going to happen.
And I just want to add that you and I have been, this has been months in the making. We've been shooting other episodes. We have 2025 plans. And one theme that continues to be of relevance in our conversation is being leaders and advocates in this new revelation. I just want to remind everyone, we're just like the Industrial Revolution. We're now living in what is called the AI revolution. And if you do any research or understand the Industrial Revolution and how radical it changed society across the globe, you can expect some serious, really serious change. You and I have continuously said we want to be leaders and advocates and talk about this. We want to make sure that human voices are heard, and there's power in numbers. And so I think that it is critical people stand together. And I'm going to tie this back to healthcare specifically so that we can advocate that everyone gets access. Not just some people get to live to 100.
Yeah.
Everyone that is alive gets the equal chance to live to 100. You get to make your own decisions after that. And so I think that just comes back to continuously having the conversation.
Well, let's just keep having the conversation.
Yeah.
Don't let it die out. Like AI integration and technology advancements are moving rapidly. So we need to be talking about it. You need to be talking about it with your friends. Find a community in our community. We'd love to know your opinions on what's happening. I'm sure there are other things that are in the healthcare industry that are scary in terms of integrating them into like doctors' offices and whatnot. But we need to start talking about those things. Mm-hmm. So talk with us, talk with peers in our community, leave a comment, start engaging. Like, let's talk about these things.
Yes.
And I'm sure, is there anything else that you want to add in terms of like concerns? Well, actually, the big one I want to talk about is greed and wealth in terms of this technology. It's a big fucking topic. The scariest thing for me, and this is what I talk to people about, like I'm very pro AI. I'm obviously pro humanity. That is the podcast.
Yep.
I am genuinely scared for what's happening moving forward. Like if we let our voices die out as a community, we are going to make AI technology greed and expensive, because even though the technology will be there and accessible, we will put it behind subscriptions and firewalls that you have to pay to get through.
Well, and that is happening right now.
It already is happening.
Yeah. So I think that it's even more crucial and even, just that much more important. We do come together and start talking about this because, which is again, one of the morals of our entire series.
Yeah.
But I think to your point, you say greed and you're scared. We have a system, America, that is built on greed.
Yeah.
And
it takes people to change.
It takes a lot of people to change.
I'm gonna say as an example, his name is Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Right? In the pharmaceutical space, which is healthcare, which is a great thing to talk about. But it is a person who is going to spark change. He's like, I've made the money I want to make. Like, I don't need more money. Exactly. I want people to experience what it's like to be people and be healthy.
Yes.
He is the spark for change that is happening right now. Yep. In a small scale, we need those voices all over.
Absolutely.
In the AI space too.
And I think that when we as a nation, and I think I may have said this earlier, and if I have, I apologize, but divided we fall, united we stand.
Yeah.
And if we come together, we put all the bullshit aside and we stand together united, then we can, I feel, and maybe this is my delusional optimism, but I'm going to stand by it. If we come together, our voice will be heard, but it requires a lot of people. And so with your point of the greed taking over, I think that's a real reality for the first few years of this. I think, in fact, I don't think it's even just a reality. I think that it is a fact that it is happening now.
Yep.
And it's going to continue to happen. And until humans come together and make our voices heard and we create a community around humanity first, that is when we will be able to create some much needed crucial change.
100%. And, as of the time we're filming this, there was actually a data strike that happened over Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
Yep.
I found out about it. There is, I don't want to call her an influencer or content creator, but someone on TikTok who, is one of the people that's fed up about what's happening and the corporate greed that's happening in the United States. And this is unrelated to AI.
Yeah.
This is just corporations being greedy, not caring about people, just caring about them making money.
Which is the entire healthcare system and pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Like,
but
let's be real.
The data strike was unrelated to AI. And, her name is Sky Fisher. She's not a content creator. She's just a person who's frustrated, organized a data strike. And, it was probably a small scale one. A lot of people that I know, like I was sharing the word, she had thousands and thousands of people that said they were going to partake. And I was happy to partake as well. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, shut down social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, streaming services, don't use them. just to kind of give the middle finger to those companies and like understand that there are power in numbers and like we are getting frustrated.
Yep.
They're going to lose out on advertisement revenue.
We're not getting frustrated. We're frustrated.
Yeah. And
we're angry.
Yeah. It's not just losing money on advertisement revenue. It's also losing access to data on the users of the platform, which is the most.
Data is gold.
Data is the most. I mean, it's everything.
It is everything. It is literally right now. If we had to put a currency number on it, it is the most valuable thing that exists.
Absolutely,
is data.
So I know that as of that, there's going to be more. There's going to be more data strikes. There's going to be more voices coming together to express this frustration, and show the people in charge, show these people that have all this wealth that like, hey, we have control over what's happening. But the problem is we need to band together as one voice to show that we are all united in this stand.
Absolutely. And I think that, it just shows that when you have a healthcare system that is literally built around greed and corporate profit, that's unsustainable.
Yep.
And so for the long term, it's not going to work. Temporarily, sure, these companies made their trillions. I can tell you right now, that is unsustainable, and humans are not going to tolerate it anymore. Yep. Humans are going to stand up and say that these pharmaceutical drugs that cost me hundreds of, if not thousands of dollars here, that I can get for pennies on the dollar in another country, you're going to charge me the fair amount. You're not going to price gouge me. Yeah. You're not going to deny treatment for me because you decide that I don't need life-saving treatment.
Yeah. Let's stop creating legal monopolies.
Yes.
And start valuing humans.
Absolutely.
And the human experience.
The human experience and understanding that humans always come first is what is going to get us out of this disaster of a mess that we live in right now.
And, kind of the last thing, and maybe this is kind of transitioning us back to a little bit of a positive note to kind of end the episode, is we've talked about frustrations and reaching a breaking point and accessibility with AI in a healthcare system. Another positive is the accessibility to mental health with AI integration.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
I think this is a really great way to kind of tie out the episode and leave it on a positive note because we are finding accessible tools to treat humanity.
Yes. So everyone deserves free access to, first of all, healthcare, but specifically mental health care.
It's something that's not talked about.
It's not talked about. And we have an entire society that has lacked resources. We have generations that have had a lack of mental health care. And so now we are living in the, I don't know. We're living in the problems of lack of treatment. Yeah. And, I want to tread lightly, but mental health is actually a whole episode that I want to do because I am very passionate. Healthcare, psychiatry, and some other things saved me. And I am very, very passionate about making sure that everyone has equal access to mental health care and for free, might add.
And the reason I brought this up is it is becoming accessible. It is already the technology that is coming out. Just look. Yeah. Like find the opportunities. You can see what AI is creating and the accessibility it's creating for people that need it.
Absolutely. And I just want to add, I think that it's easy for people to talk all the negative about AI or our government or and I don't mean politics. I just mean like across the board government. I think it's easy for us to quickly say that, this is a problem and talk about it and harp on it. The truth is that facts are facts. Mm-hmm. And as AI is integrated, we must have difficult conversations. Also, we want to have positive conversations. We want to talk about the good that AI is doing. So, while it does feel like sometimes, and maybe some of these episodes, we are too factual or too based off like realities, that's necessary because we need to start these conversations, but it's also necessary to point out how positive AI is for a lot of people and how once we get through these growing pains, once our voices have been heard, what does that look like? Well, that looks like longevity. That looks like equal access. That looks like a better quality of life for everyone, or at least everyone has access to it.
We say it starts from the top down. And while that is true, the down/the bottom unifying their voices and showing power, like that is the showcase to make change.
Absolutely.
So again, something I'm concerned about in the future is the top bleeding down and the enforcement in our government and access and, creating a future that is human focused versus money and wealth focused. But this new technology that's coming out it's exciting.
It is.
There is the ability for the first time in a long time to have this work.
Yep.
Is what it feels like.
I am very excited about the opportunity that people that are living today will live to 100, and we're only going to have better quality of lives. We're going to have better health. We're going to have better health care. We're going to have better resources. And this is the start. And I'm excited that we're a part of this.
Well, I'm excited to partake in this podcast and, share in this adventure, not just with you, but with you as the listener.
Absolutely.
We are extremely thankful you're here. We don't just want you to be listening, though. We want you to start these conversations, talk to your friends and family. Again, I've said it. We're going to always say it. We are pro-humanity, and we are also pro-AI. And that's just it. That's the future.
Yeah, it is the future. And there's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot of really good, cool innovation. Vivu is a perfect example of easy access to real life data about yourself. And what we're about to experience is going to be some of the coolest advancements in human history. And to be a part of that and to be alive during this period is mind-blowing. And I just, I get excited often, specifically because I work in AI, but I just see the advancements, and to know that I get to experience this and also be a part of that change and be a voice that in this arena is just something that I can't describe the feeling, but while I am very realistic and the facts are the facts, logic is logic, this is reality, I am also really excited about the good that's going to come from this.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think that's a really great way to kind of round out the episode.
Yeah.
Unless you got anything else to add.
Nope. I'm really excited for next week's episode.
Well, that's what I was just about to get to. Tune in next week. Our episode is about humanity and AI. Yep. I mean, it's a very, very broad topic. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics. We're not going to get into it yet. You guys have to come back next week and tune in. But for now, thank you for tuning into The Revolution, the episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm Drew. And remember, when we lift each other up, we all rise. Stay positive, people.